All right. It's not ESPN's 30 for 30. However, it is my 98. 98. The 98 seasons in the history of the New York Football Giants. Going to try to get it done in 98 days. That's probably not going to happen. However, I am going to get it done by the beginning of the new season, which starts September 10th against those Dallas Cowboys. I should have it done right on September 10th. So we're right on schedule. And we're at the magical season, the 87th season in history of the New York Football Giants, 87th season in history of the Football Giants, 92nd season in history of the NFL. NFL started in 1920, Giants started in 1925, so the Giants are 5 years younger than the NFL is, but that magical season, 2011, their fourth Super Bowl victory, their final Super Bowl appearance. Their next one is in the future, but and there's their fourth and final Super Bowl win. You can say the whole season was like magical because in regular season there was three teams, excuse me, in the NFC that were far better than the Giants, like during the regular season. The Saints, the 49ers, and the Packers. Giants lost all three of them. And they lost, I really honestly believe, the Giants lost to the Saints during the regular season, and it wasn't pretty. They lost at home to the Packers. It was a close, tough game. Packers won like in the final second. They lost a close, tough game on the road in San Francisco. They got blown out by the Saints in New Orleans. I honestly believe, it was when the playoffs started, the Giants just squeaked into the playoffs. We'll learn about that and all. They beat the Packers. Obviously, the first round, they beat the Falcons 24-2. But the next round, had to play the Packers, who were 15-1. They didn't have like the greatest defense in the world, but their offense was just on fire. They had scored well over 500 points. And it wasn't, the Giants really beat them good. And then the championship game, the Giants went on the road and beat a very, very tough San Francisco team. Very tough. But I still believe to this day, thankfully, the 49ers knocked off the Saints in the divisional round, because if the Giants had to play the Saints, like in the championship game, Giants had to travel to San Francisco, play in San Francisco, and try to beat the 49ers, in San Francisco in the championship game. Giants were able to do that, but they lost in San Francisco earlier in the season by 7 points, but they were driving. We'll go over this, but they just at the end of the game, they almost had a chance to tie it up. But I always honestly believe that if the Giants had to go and play in New Orleans against Drew Brees, turn out the lights, the party's over. You never know. You got to play the game, all that stuff. But I honestly believe that the Giants would not have beaten the New Orleans Saints. Saints, what was this? Oh, well. They beat it by, I think it was like 49-28 or something. They just, I think there's the Giants. I think they're the only team in 2011, only team in I think in Super Bowl history to win a Super Bowl, and they actually gave up more points than they scored during the regular season. I think they gave up 400 points. Their defense came alive. In the last game against Dallas, which put them into the playoffs, then they came alive in the playoffs. Gave up 2 points to the Falcons. Just did a very good job. The defense came alive. But I'll tell you what, they were snoozing during the regular season. It was not, they They gave up 400 points. They only scored 394 points. So their defense gave up 25 points a game, and they actually somehow won a Super Bowl. So I said their defense really came alive in the in the playoffs. Final game of the season in the playoffs. I mean, it had a good defense. It just, but Eli had to sling it all season long. Our running game was not what it used to be. Let's see. Seibert was released before the beginning of the season. O'Hara, he played in 2010 was his final season, so he wasn't there either. Actually, it's kind of funny because we almost got some of the guys the offensive linemen almost got replaced by the Killer Bees. Will Beatty, Boss, and Booth. Booth played he played some games for the Giants as well on the offensive line. So, but the offensive line did a good job protecting Eli. So, and he slung it. He threw a lot of yards. We'll go over this and stuff like that. But the running game was not very good. But so let's see. How did the Giants fare in the preseason here? Let's see. 2-2. First game was Saturday, August 13th. They're away. So in Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Giants lost to the Carolina Panthers 20-10. Second game was on Monday, August 22nd. Let's see. They were home to the Chicago Bears, and they won 41-13. This game here, in this game, if I read correctly, the Giants, their second round selection, once again, did not have a very, very lengthy career. Once again, we'll go over this. It's a very poor draft once again by Jerry Reese. But Marvin Austin, who they drafted in the second round, he missed the entire season. He was a defensive tackle, so they drafted a big dude. They drafted a defensive tackle in the second round. And in this the preseason game against the Bears, he injured himself and he missed the whole season. Let's see. Then the third preseason game on Monday, August 29th, the Giants were the home team against the Jets, and they lost 17-3. Then the final game of the season, this goes to show once again, this was the second time in 4 years, and I think this might be, I don't know if it's happened any other times. That I don't know. All right, I haven't looked, haven't checked, haven't Googled it, nothing. But in 2007 and in 2011, the New York Giants and the New England Patriots, in different conferences, they played each other 3 times. The only way you can do that, you have to play each other in the preseason, the regular season, and in the Super Bowl. I don't know if it's happened. I mean, it's quite possibly. We've had so many Super Bowls by now. There's a possibility it's happened once or twice or maybe 3 other times, whatever. But I haven't looked. Don't know. I'm not going to look. But in 2007 and 2011, the Giants played the New England Patriots in the preseason, the regular season, and the only way you're going to play them, you have to play them in the Super Bowl. So, but the Giants, let's see, they beat, and actually they beat the Patriots 2 times in New England. They beat them in the preseason in New England. They beat them in the regular season in New England. But they won the final on Thursday, September 1st. They beat the Patriots in Gillette Stadium 18-17. So the Giants were 2-2. All right. Now, what does Wikipedia have to say about the New York Giants? Well, they have a lot to say about this here, but I'll just I'll read the first 2 paragraphs without going too crazy here. It says the 2011 New York Giants season was the 87th season for the team in the National Football League. They played all their home games at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Although the team failed to improve on their 10-6 mark from 2010, the Giants were able to qualify for the playoffs, and in another Cinderella run that paralleled what they did in 2007. They won the Super Bowl 46, their 4th Super Bowl win in franchise history, where they had a record of 9-7. which brings it up, and they bring it up in this paragraph here. Many analysts predicted a rough year for the Giants. Despite highs and lows throughout the season, the Giants, with a record of 9-7, returned to the NFL playoffs for the first time since 2008, winning the NFC East and finished the season as the NFC's number 4 seed. They finished 10-6 in 2010, but failed to qualify for the playoffs due to not having any tiebreakers over any other NFC playoff teams. The Giants entered their Week 17 match up with the Cowboys. It was win and you're in. Lose and you're out. Do or die. All or nothing. Giants, Cowboys. Giants won. Oh, yeah. Giants entered their Week 17 match up with the Cowboys, with both teams tied for the division lead with 8-7 record. The NFC East was not very good in 2011. The Giants took a 21 first half lead, and while the Cowboys closed the gap to make it 21-14 early in the fourth, the Giants held on to defeat the Cowboys 31-14, clinching the division title and a playoff berth. And of course, then they, that magical playoff run, which we'll go over and all. All right, but so we'll start off with the Giants with their draft. Once again, this is another Jerry Reese, a very weak draft. Very weak. They drafted Prince Amukamara, okay, who just retired, oddly enough, a few days ago, and signed a one-day contract to retire as a Giant. Very classy human being. Absolutely love him. He wasn't a lockdown corner. I mean, we had Prince Amukamara, we had Corey Webster, and we had Aaron Ross. So we had some decent cornerbacks. Okay, so we had another quality cornerback. As I said, it wasn't Deion Sanders. It wasn't a lockdown. He never made a Pro Bowl or All Pro or nothing like that. He's not a Hall of Fame or anything like that. What did he play? 1, 2. He played 5 seasons with the Giants. Then he kind of came like a nomad. He kind of bounced around a little bit, and then he finally just retired. Right? But let's see. His first season with the Giants, he played in 7 games. He didn't start in any. He had 1 interception. 2012, he played in 13 games, started 11. 2013, he started all 16 games. Then in 2014, he got injured. He only played half the season. And in 2015, he played 11. Played in 11 games, started in 10 for the Giants. 4 or 5. So he had 7 interceptions in his Giants career. So in 5 seasons. I'm saying, but the thing is that a solid pick. Nothing overly crazy, but a solid pick. But also, my point is in hand is that Jerry Reese, he would draft guys and they'd never played any length of time, a lot of them, with the New York Giants. The 2010 draft is a perfect example of that as well. But this one here, their first round pick, he played 5 years and that was it. His career was over with the Giants. Their second round pick, Marvin Austin, a defensive tackle from North Carolina, big guy, who was supposed to help the defense, but he got injured. But he came back in 2012 and he played for the Giants. But he only played 3 seasons. He played from 2012 to 2014. Right? In 2013, he played with Dallas and he played Miami. In 2014, he played with Denver. And that was it. Career was over. Now, I can't say, I don't know honestly for sure if it was injuries, cut his career short or what. But the Giants drafted him. And basically, he played only 1 year with the Giants on the field. 1 year. Yeah, the cupboard was getting bare, right? And the Giants had it just enough for one more playoff run, Super Bowl run, and they got it done. But the cupboard was getting bare, and Jerry Reese was not restocking it with quality players. Third round, it took Jarrell Jernigan, a wide receiver from Troy. He had 4 NFL seasons. But as your second round pick, he played 1 season with you. Your first overall pick, he played 5 seasons with the Giants. Jernigan played 4 seasons with the Giants. He's your third round pick. He started 4 games for the Giants. He played in 34 games in 4 seasons, and his career was over. once he got another pick, and he never had an extended they never put a second contract on him. And as I said, third round pick, he started for 4 games for the Giants. The fourth round, they take James Brewer, a tackle from Indiana. He played 3 years in the NFL. They were all with the Giants. He started 8 games for the Giants in 2013 at left guard. So their fourth round pick played 3 seasons in the NFL. Then he was gone. He never played again. Let's see here. Now the 6th round. Interesting here. They had 2 picks. What happened? Did a compensatory pick? Did they have a compensatory pick? I think they did. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. They, with their own pick in the 6th round, they wound up taking Greg Jones, a linebacker from Michigan State. But a 6th round pick, I guess you don't expect too much, and they didn't get too much. He played 2 seasons in the NFL, 2011 and 2012, and his career, he never played ever again. Let me see, were they both with the Giants? Nope. 2011, he started 5 games for the Giants, actually, at middle linebacker. Played in all 16 games. I guess a lot on special teams, maybe. But in 2012, he played with Jacksonville, and 6 games with Jacksonville, and his career was over. Greg Jones. Right. So, actually, I'm sorry, they had 3 picks in the 6th round. They were compensatory. They lost. Let's see. Okay. It looks like they had compensatory picks based on the fact that they lost David Carr and Fred Robbins in free agency. So one of the compensatory picks, they took Tyler Sash. Once again, this is a 6th round pick, right? So you don't expect much, and he didn't give them much. Defensive back, he played 2 seasons in the NFL. He was from Iowa, has never played again. He played 2 seasons with the Giants, 23 games. He didn't start any. Looks like basically he was pretty much like maybe a special teamer. But 2 seasons in the NFL with the Giants, never played again. Once again, their picks just kept the cupboard bare. We were not restocking players. And it was very important also with the salary cap and whatnot that you get these later round picks, right? To you get 1 or 2 of them or so that at least hang on the team, because you need these later round picks. You just can't keep bringing in free agents and paying free agent money. It was so important to have these later round picks to actually make the team and be productive, and they weren't. And they took a linebacker, Williams, in actually I think he's the one I think that knocked the ball out in the championship game, I think, against the 49ers. Jaquan Williams. I think that's how you pronounce it. I think it was Jaquan Williams. I think he's the one that came down and knocked the ball out, I think in overtime, that gave the Giants the ball deep in 49ers territory. Lawrence Tynes kicked the game-winning field goal. So he played 4 seasons for the Giants, and he never played ever again. A 6th round pick. It's back then, especially you don't expect too much back then. Once again, they didn't get too much. He played 4 seasons in the NFL. They're all with the Giants. He started some games each year. So I guess all in all, not too horrible of a pick. But it was 4 seasons. Once again, especially the biggest thing was the picks the Giants had. There were so few of them ever got a second contract with the Giants, the ones that Jerry Reese picked. So few of them. They would play a couple years. Maybe they would play their 3 or 4 years, their rookie contract, and then they were just gone. We would not develop guys, retain guys. That did not happen in the Jerry Reese era. And as I said, the cupboard just kept getting bare with talent. And and you can see after 2011, from 2011 to 2021, right? I'm sorry, from 2012 to 2021, those 10 seasons, we made the playoffs one time. So then the Giants had one more pick in the 7th round. Darrell Scott, a running back from Maryland. He played 3 seasons in the NFL, 2011, 2012, and 2013. He played all with the Giants. Okay, he started one game in 2013 with the Giants. But I mean, nothing super spectacular. Let's see here. He averaged, 2011, he carried the ball 5 times for 16 yards, averaged 3.2 yards a carry. 2012, he ran the ball 6 times. He averaged 1.5 yards a carry. 2013, he ran the ball 20 times for 73 yards. He averaged 3.7 yards a carry. But 3 years in the NFL, and his career was over. So this is, very poor draft. Very poor draft. I said Amukamara was very solid. Very solid. But, he played 5 seasons, and the Giants did not retain him. Right. Okay, so all right, let's go to the season here. As I said, the Giants, they scored 24.6 points per game, which was 9th in the NFL, but they gave up 25 points a game, which was 25th in the NFL. And it's just amazing how do they even make the playoffs? Their defense gave up some points. They scored some points because Eli was slinging it. He played all 16 games. Obviously, he averaged 61. His completion percentage 61%. Threw for 4,933 yards, which I think is a career high for him. Let's see. Let me say 49.33. Was that a career high? Yep. Career high. 2011. He never threw for 5,000 yards in a season. Well, a lot of times because we had a good running game. But this year was not a good running game. Eli had 29 touchdown passes. He threw 16 interceptions. He threw a lot of interceptions in his career. Eli Manning in his career. God bless him. I'm so thankful we got him and all this stuff. But sometimes you pick on Daniel Jones, right? Eli Manning threw 244 interceptions in his career. He threw 27 interceptions in 2013. He threw 25 interceptions in 2010. He threw 20 interceptions in the other Super Bowl season. So he threw 27 interceptions in 2013. Daniel Jones threw 27 interceptions. You know how badly he would be getting crucified. Holy cow. And I said in 2010, he threw 25 interceptions. But I said, our running game was very Ahmad Bradshaw led the team with 659 yards rushing, 3.9 yards a carry. Brandon Jacobs had 571 rushing yards, 3.8 yards a carry. Our running game was non-existent. It was very, very bad. We averaged 3.5 yards a carry. Very bad. We gave up 4.5 yards a carry, which is not very good either. But our running game was very bad. However, we kind of made up for that by having a good passing game. Now, between Manningham, Nix, and Cruz, right? Cruz missed pretty much all. He played in 3 games in 2010, had no receptions at all. But what a burst out season he had in 2011. He had 82 receptions, 1,536 yards, and 9 touchdowns. What a phenomenal season. What a player. We were so lucky to have him. Good old Victor Cruz from Massachusetts. Man, doing the salsa, baby. Woo, love it. And Hakeem Nicks had 1,192 receiving yards. He had 76 receptions. So the 2 guys, they had like over 2,700 yards receiving between the 2 of them. We were 2 great. Unfortunately, once again, 2 great receivers in Giants history, and their careers were cut short due to injury. Steve Smith the year before, I think it was his last season with the Giants. What happened? His career was cut short due to injury. It's just such a shame. Such a shame. We no longer had Kevin Boss He wasn't with the Giants anymore. We had him. He played 4 seasons with the Giants, a decent tight end. We did not re-sign him again. He went. I think he went with the Raiders. He played 1 year with the Raiders and 1 year with somebody else, and his career was over. But so we had Jake Ballard, who had 38 receptions, who was a decent tight end. Yeah, decent. But he got injured in the Super Bowl, and he never played for the Giants ever again. We still had good old Bear Pasco, who had hit 12 receptions. Let's see, Mario Manningham, he was injured. He missed a couple games. He had 39 receptions, but he had a big touchdown reception in the championship game against the 49ers. Mike Bradshaw had 34 receptions. Brandon Jacobs had 15 receptions. But I mean, the big two, basically between Victor Cruz and Hakeem Nicks, there was 158 receptions between the two of them and over 2,700 yards. What do they have? 16 touchdown passes between the two. So, we were able to sling it. We were able to score some points and win some games. So, but the offensive line, let's see here, was not very good at run, but they were very good at pass blocking. They only gave up 28 sacks all season. The defense, on the other hand, got 48 sacks, so not too bad. But the offensive line was not good at run blocking, but they were very good at pass protection. Thank goodness. What do we got here? Lawrence Tynes had another very solid season. He was only 19 out of 24 for field goals, but he kicked 43 extra points. So we scored touchdowns. We didn't necessarily kick a lot of field goals, but we scored touchdowns. Steve Weatherford had a very good. We had Matt Dodge in 2010. He played 1 season, NFL, never played another down in the NFL after that. But then we got Steve Weatherford, I believe it was from the Jets, and he had a very 45.7 yard average. His net yards was 39.2, so not bad. He only had 6 touchbacks. He had 25 kicks inside the 20-yard line. He had a very, very solid season. Steve Weatherford. He was the holder when Lawrence Tynes kicked the ball in the championship game. And it was funny because after the ball went through, you can see him. He's like running down the field. He's like trying to get his helmet off. I think he's like running, trying to get his chin strap off or his helmet or something. Finally gets it off. He's like, owned it up. In Super Bowl, baby, we're going to the Super Bowl. He's like running down the field, freaking out and everything. Oh, man. Whew, good times. Love it. As I said, the defense, got some sacks. Good old JPP, the man. He helped save one of the games for the Giants. We'll go over that. He had 16 and a half sacks. OC had 9. So those were our 2 guys. They're basically our 2 wing guys, shall you say, our 2 ends, right? So, all right, so let's go over the game by game here, shall we? All right, so the Giants opened up the season, right, on the road against the Redskins, and they lost 28-14. Not a great way to start the season. So the Giants started off 0-1, but they were bounced back, and actually they got up to a 6-2 record. So things were looking pretty good. Then the Giants hosted the Rams, and they beat the Rams 28-16. So the Giants were 1-1. Then the Giants went on the road, and and some must have been some type of miracle of God, and played in Philadelphia and actually beat the Eagles 29-16. So because the Giants don't usually beat the Eagles in Philadelphia, but they beat them here. So now the Giants are 2-1. The following week, the Giants went on the road and they played against the Cardinals in Arizona, and they beat them 31-27. Right? So now the Giants are 3-1. Then the Giants would host the Seattle Seahawks. They would lose 36-25, so the Giants are 3-2. But then the Giants, they beat the Bills at home, 27-24. So to push the Giants' record to 4-2. So very, not bad at all. Let's see. Lawrence Tynes kicked a 23-yard field goal with 1 minute, 32 seconds left to go in the game to put the Giants up 27-24. So it was a very, very exciting game, and the Giants won it. Good old Lawrence Tynes with a 23-yard field goal with about 1.5 minutes left to go. Won the game for the Giants. And the Giants had a bye week. Then the Giants, they faced the Miami Dolphins at home, and they would beat them in a close game. I know Victor Cruz, I think, had a touchdown reception this one. They beat the Dolphins 20-17. Now the Giants are 5-2. Then the Giants went on the road. Okay, now this is where they knew that they could hang with and beat the Patriots. The Patriots, I can't remember exactly what it was, but they had a home game winning streak going. They had I said, please forgive me. They won 20 games or 22 games or something like that. Some silly, ridiculous, because it was Tom Brady back in that era, right? Games in a row at home. So they had a long streak of just beating. And if I remember correctly, it was something like also like an NFC team hadn't beaten them in like there and something like, I don't know, 5 years or something crazy. It had been a long time, I think, before like an NFC team beat them. I should look, but I know they had a winning streak, a home winning streak going, and the Giants went in there and beat them. The Giants were down. What were they down? They were losing 20-17. They got the ball, and they started marching down for good old Eli Manning, Mr. Clutch, and he hit Jake Ballard with two passes. And one of them was like over his head. It was like a third down, somewhere like that. And it gave him gained like 20 yards or so on the play and got him down to like maybe inside New England's like around their 30-yard line. So it was a tough catch. He threw the ball up. Jake Ballard had almost like reach up over his head behind him and pulled it down. What a phenomenal catch. Then to score the touchdown, the Giants got down inside the 5. Eli Manning, I think, off a play action. I think I heard him say that on a video. Play action. Ballard ran out in the end zone and he cut out toward the sideline and Eli winged it, and Ballard stuck his hands out. Boom, caught it. And he pulled it in before he rolled out of bounds. Touchdown. Giants went up 24-20 and they held on for the win. But so that snapped the Patriots' home game winning streak. So the Giants knew when they faced the Patriots, as good as they were, knew when they got to the Super Bowl that they could hang tough with the Patriots, which wound up in the long run, wound up being huge. The following week was when the wheels started coming off a little bit. And this is when they started losing to those good teams. All right. They beat the Patriots, but they traveled to San Francisco and they lost a tough game, 27-20. The Giants had the ball. Minutes or so to go, and about a minute or so to go in the game. They got inside, I think, the 49ers like 10-yard line or around the 5-yard line or so, whatever. Trying to go in for the tying score because they were down 27-20. The Giants, they scored. They were able to move the ball on a very good 49ers defense. So once again, they knew they could move the ball on the 49ers. But on fourth down, Eli Manning dropped back to pass. He threw the ball. It got tipped at the line of scrimmage and fell down incomplete. And the 49ers won a tough game. But they knew that if they had to go play the 49ers again, they knew that they can compete with the 49ers in San Francisco. Then the Giants, Go to go Philadelphia Eagles. The Giants faced the Eagles the following week at home, and the Eagles would win 17-10. Now the Giants are 6-4. Then there was the back-to-back right here. They went into New Orleans, right, and they lost 49-24. I mean, I said the Saints had 577 yards of offense. They had 31 first downs. The Giants had 29 first downs. They had 465 yards, but they just could not stop the Saints. What do we got here? What was Drew Brees? I mean, they just can't stop Drew Brees. They just could. They beat Drew Brees. Drew Brees. They beat him, and they were able to kind of shut him down pretty decently in 2016, the third game of the season, I think it was, at home. But in New Orleans, in the Superdome, they could not stop Drew Brees. Could not stop. I don't know if they ever stopped Drew Brees. He was a freaking machine in the Superdome, the house of horrors. Drew Brees was 24-38, 363 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, they just couldn't stop. I said the Giants defense gave up 31 first downs. 500. They didn't sack Breeze at all. Not one sack. They gave up 500. They gave up almost 600 yards of offense. It was a house of horrors. And the New Orleans had 11 penalties too for over 100 yards, and they still scored 49 points on the Giants. And I honestly believe, once again, that if the Giants had to face New Orleans in the Superdome in the playoffs, forget about it. They were not going to. I don't care. They were not going to win. Then they faced the Green Bay Packers at home. There's another. The 49ers, the Saints, and the Packers, they all won their divisions along with the Giants, but they were far better than the Giants in the regular season. The Giants faced the Packers the following week at home, and the Packers were 15-1, the best team in football. The Packers, as time expired, the Giants tied it up. It was 35-35. They scored a touchdown with 58 seconds to go. Hakeem Nicks' 2-yard touchdown reception from Eli Manning tied it up at 35, but the Giants defense could not get it done. Give Aaron Rodgers the ball, give him 58 seconds, and with no time left on the clock, Mason Crosby kicked a 30-yard field goal to make it 38-35. So basically, Rodgers got the ball, and he moved and in 58 seconds, he moved the ball down to the 13-yard line. Once again, defense couldn't stop anybody. It was just, very poor performance. Packers had 29 first downs. I mean, the Giants Giants gave up 60 first downs in those two games. 60. Then finally, the Giants, this is what JPP won us a game and possibly maybe this season. The Giants beat the Dallas Cowboys 37-34. The Giants, let's see, there's another game just down to the wire. This one here, what do we got? Brandon Jacobs scored on a 1-yard rush with 46 seconds left to go in the game. 46 seconds to go up 37-34. Somehow, once again, the New York Giants defense in 46 seconds gave up enough yards for the Cowboys for them to get into field goal range in 46 seconds. Couldn't stop anybody. It couldn't stop anybody in the regular season. So, but thankfully, all right, on the field goal try, it wasn't a real close one. It wasn't like a 20-something yard. I think it was in the 40s, if I remember correctly. But in 46 seconds, it was all the time that Romo needed to get him in field goal range. He got him in field goal range, and thankfully, Bailey, his field goal try. JPP stuck his arm up in the air and just got like a fingertip or two or whatever on the ball and knocked it, and it fell short. Whew. Game over. Giants won. Thankfully, the Giants needed that. That quite possibly saved the Giants' season. That block. Well, because also it would have gone into overtime, and that's not to say the Giants wouldn't have won in overtime because the Giants could move the ball on the Cowboys. So that's not to say, but thankfully he blocked the field goal try. The Giants won. The Giants were 7-6 because that was huge. Because the following week the Giants would lose at home to the Redskins 23-10. Now the Giants are 7-7. The Giants pretty much had to win the final two games to make the playoffs, do or die. Well, this is the Victor Cruz 99-yard touchdown reception game against the Jets. The Giants were losing, what was it, 10-3 or something like that? No, it couldn't have been 10-3. What was the score? No, 7-3, my bad. But they were backed up with 2 minutes to go in the first half on their own 1-yard line. If you've seen the highlights or whatever, Eli dropped back the pass. He's standing in his own end zone, right? Looks to his right, hits Victor Cruz. Victor Cruz made like one guy miss. He's running. Guy went for a tackle, like sidestepped him. He went down the sideline and just he outrun. I forgot who the safety was, but he outran him into the end zone, 99 yards for a touchdown. Put the Giants up 10-7. Changed the whole momentum of the game. Because let's not forget is that the Giants had the ball at their own one. If they had I think it was third down too. So if they had a punt. And, the Jets got, like, say, a first down or so, they might have been in field goal range. Maybe they kick a field goal going into halftime. Maybe they're up 10-3 at halftime instead of being down 10-7, right? So that was a huge play. But then the Giants took over. Ahmad Bradshaw scored 2 times. Lawrence Tyne kicked a field goal. There was a safety. And the Giants wound up winning 29-14. So that wound up being huge. The Giants had to have that game because the Jets were a very good team that year, although they were 8-7. Well, actually, but they were 8-6 going into the game. So they were good. They were a good team. Rex Ryan had them all fired up for that game. I remember Brandon Jacobs, I think, wanted to fight him, Rex Ryan, a couple times. All right, so then the final game of the season, it was whoever won was in the playoffs. They won the NFC East, and they won because the Giants and the Cowboys both came in 8-7. The Eagles were 8-8. This was the Sunday night, January 1st, New Year's, the final game of the season. Giants, Cowboys at home. Kind of like the first game of this season, the 2023 season, right? Giants, Cowboys at home. Sunday night football. Here, January 1st, actually 2012, Sunday night football. Giants, Cowboys at Giants, MetLife Stadium, shall we say. And the Giants were up 21-0, as I read in Wikipedia. Cowboys closed it to 21-14. Then the Giants scored 10 more points, and they wound up winning 31-14. They were 9-7. They wound up winning the division, and they're getting into the playoffs. So let's go with what does Wikipedia here have to say about the 2011 season. I got a lot to say, actually. I won't read all of it because we'll be here for about 9 years. But the 2011 NFL season was the 92nd regular season in the history of the National Football League and the 46th Super Bowl. It began on Thursday, September 8th, with the Super Bowl champion Green Bay Packers defeating the New Orleans Saints at Lambeau Field, and it ended with Super Bowl 46, the league's championship game, on February 5th, 2012, at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, where the Giants defeated the New England Patriots. Yes. Due to a labor dispute between league owners and players, a lockout began on March 11th and ended on July 25th, lasting 130 days. Also, although it initially threatened to postpone or cancel the season, the only game that was canceled was the August 7th Pro Football Hall of Fame game. Thankfully. Could you imagine if the season was canceled and the Giants didn't win the Super Bowl? Wow. Let's see here. The 2011 season saw an unprecedented amount of passing offense, as was with the Giants. 3 of the 9 highest passing yardage totals of all time were established. Drew Brees threw for 5,476 yards. Tom Brady threw for 5,235, and Matthew Stafford threw for over 5,000 yards. Eli Manning threw for 4,933, which places him 14th all time. I don't know if it's still 14th all time now, but I mean, even Eli Manning threw for almost 5,000 yards. It also saw Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers establish the all-time season single best quarterback rating of 122.5. Wow. And he's still playing today. Unbelievable. Simply amazing. Further cementing the modern NFL's reputation as a passing league. It was that for the second consecutive year, the league overall set a record for most average passing yards per team per game with 229.7, breaking the 2010s record by more than 8 yards per game. For comparison, the league-wide average rushing yards total finished this 2011 season at 57th of all time. So the amount of rushing yards game really came down. As we all know, it's passing league. So then on Wikipedia, got the labor dispute and all of that stuff. There's a lot here on the 2011 season for Wikipedia. But let's go to the playoffs, shall we? All right. In the AFC, the New England Patriots won the AFC East with a record of 13-3. The Ravens won the AFC North with a record of 12-4. The Steelers with a record of 12-4. And the Bengals with a record of 9-7 were the 2 wild card teams. The Houston Texans, right? Won the AFC South with a record of 10-6. And the Denver Broncos won the AFC West with a record of 8-8. This was the year that the Colts were 2-14. That's when I think they traded away, or Peyton Manning was injured that year, and they wound up drafting, I think, Andrew Luck that year. I think it was. Right. So in the playoffs, the Texans beat Cincinnati 31-10, and the Denver Broncos in overtime beat Pittsburgh 29-23. I think that might have been the Tebow game, where I think. Oh boy, can we look at this here? Can we recap this here at all? Yeah, the recap. Let's see here. No. Oh, wait. We have the playoffs here? Because I know there was a game. Steelers, Broncos, overtime. Let's see. Yeah, Tebow. That was the Tebow game. Tebow fired the game-winning 80-yard touchdown pass to wide receiver Demaryius Thomas. Yep, that was the Tebow game in overtime. 80-yard touchdown. So, yeah, that was the Tebow game. So that was in overtime. It was very exciting game. But it just goes to show you how Tebow is not a very good quarterback. He had a couple plays here and there and all that, and he could run the ball, but he was not a good throwing quarterback. So in the divisional round, the Baltimore Ravens beat the Houston Texans 20-13, and the New England Patriots demolished the Denver Broncos and Tim Tebow, because they had exposed Tebow. They showed he was not a good quarterback. And at home, Gillette Stadium, the Patriots demolished the Broncos 45-10. Tebow is not a very good quarterback. Great athlete, but just not a very good NFL quarterback, shall we say. And in the championship game in New England, I believe Baltimore missed a field goal at whatever in the final seconds of the game, which would have tied the game. He kicked the ball wide. It was a short field goal. He just choked. It was somewhat of a short field goal. I'm not exactly sure it was, but he choked in his championship game, and because it would have tied it up and sent it into overtime, where the Ravens possibly could have won. But the Ravens gave the Patriots all they could handle, but the Patriots won because the guy missed a field goal right at the end, and they won 23-20, sending the Patriots into the Super Bowl. So in the NFC, right, the Giants with a record of 9-7, they won the East. The Eagles and the Cowboys both were 8-11. The Giants, the Redskins beat the Giants 2 times during the season. The Redskins only won 5 games all year. 2 of them were against the Giants, but the Eagles and Cowboys were both 8-8. In the NFC North, the Packers with a record of 15-1, won the NFC North, and the Detroit Lions with a record of 10-6. Very impressive. They got a wild card. The New Orleans Saints with a record of 13-3 won the NFC South. The Atlanta Falcons with a record of 10-6 won the wild card. Then the 49ers with a record of 13-3 won the NFC West. So the 49ers were 13-3, the Saints were 13-3, and the Packers were 15-1. 3 very good teams that the Giants had to try to somehow beat to get to the Super Bowl. And they wound up doing it. But I said the 49ers did the Giants, I think, the hugest favor in the world by knocking off the Saints, because if the Giants had to face the Saints, would have been in the Superdome, and I bet everything I ever made the Giants would not have came out there victorious. I bet anything. Obviously you got to play the game and all that, but it would have been very, very difficult for them to win the Super Bowl, to win in the Superdome, shall I say. So in the playoffs, right, the first round, the Giants with the worst division record, they had, they were in the wild card. They beat the Falcons 24-2. The Diz win, for whatever reason it was, against the Cowboys, and all of a sudden, the defense just started stepping up and playing big. They stopped the Falcons a couple times on 4th and inches. Matt Ryan tried to sneak a couple times. They just shut them down. They shut the Falcons out. Basically, they only had 2 points was all they got. They got a safety. That was it. And New Orleans scored 45 points, and they beat the Detroit Lions 45-28 in the Superdome. So in the divisional round, the Giants beat went into Lambeau Field, and it wasn't even close. They beat the Packers 37-20. And actually, if it wasn't for some bull crap, absolute freaking bull crap, roughing the passer penalty on Osi Umenyiora, which continued I believe the Packers drive. Absolute bull crap call. Continued their drive, and I believe they scored a touchdown off of it. And the Giants could have won 37-13. I believe the Packers, to be honest with you, to be fair, there was some passes. Some of their players dropped a few passes. There was probably like 3 or 4 balls that they dropped that they could have had, So the Giants, so things kind of, there was the bull crap that I can't even talk about it sometimes. It just pisses me off so much. What an absolute garbage call that was. But then I said the Packers did drop some passes though too. So, but the Giants were the better team. The Giants won 37-20. Then, as I said, the biggest game probably of the whole season was in Candlestick Park. The 49ers beat the New Orleans Saints 36-20, which I think wound up helping the Giants out immensely, because then that would have put the championship game. If the Saints won, would have been in New Orleans, Giants and the Saints in the championship game in the Superdome, and I don't think the Giants would have won that game. But with the 49ers winning 36-32, set up the championship game between the Giants and the 49ers in Candlestick Park. It went to overtime. Fantastic game. Eli Manning got sacked, I think, like 6 times. I think he got hit, knocked to the ground like 342,000 other times. He was coming up off the ground. His helmet was on sideways. His chin straps like over his eyeballs. His shirt pulled down over his shoulder pads. He's like getting up, looking around like, what happened on the play? I can't see. Oh my God. It was unbelievable. Absolutely. But he kept getting back up and slinging it. And he get knocked down. He get back up and he was slinging it. What a great, great game. And obviously because of the Giants. But the Giants, they recovered a punt, a fumbled punt in overtime. And I think it's maybe 3 plays later or so, the Giants were easy field goal range. And Lawrence Stein kicked the Giants to the Super Bowl. As I said, that's when Steve Weatherford was, after the ball went through, he was trying to take his helmet off. He's running down the field, right? Trying to take his helmet off. He got the chin strap over his eyeball. He's trying to take his helmet off the chin strap. And he finally gets it off. And he's like, hold on. He's like, so we're going to the fucking Super Bowl. The fucking Super Bowl, baby. He's running down the field, freaking out. Oh, man. Good times. Love it. So, of course, that sets up the Super Bowl between the Giants and the Patriots, right? And in the, it was another interesting game, obviously, between the Giants and the Patriots. It was nip and tuck. The Giants scored early on. Tom Brady threw an intentional grounding in his own end zone. He threw the ball like way down the field. There was nobody, to avoid a sack. He threw the ball way down. There was no. The refs were talking about it in the end zone, talking about it. And the point is, there's no wide receivers down there. So basically, he just threw the ball away. So the ref goes, throws the flag. Safety. Yes. 2-0. Then the Giants evicted Cruz 2-yard touchdown reception. Went up 9-0. But you knew the Patriots weren't going anywhere. You knew that. 29-yard field goal was Stephen Gostkowski. Made it 9-3. And then at halftime, Danny Woodhead, 4-yard touchdown reception from Tom Brady, put the Patriots up 10-9. I'm sorry, it was 9-3 and it was 10-9. So the Patriots went into halftime up 10-9. Then in the third quarter, Aaron Hernandez, Mr. Jail himself, had a 12-yard touchdown reception from Brady. So now the Giants were up 9-0. And in the first quarter, 9-0. And here we are in the third quarter, and they still haven't scored another point. Something had to get done, right? Because we're starting to run out of time. So the Patriots up 17-9. The Giants would respond. That was a 38-yard field goal by Lawrence Tynes, made it 17-12. Then with 35 seconds left to go in the third quarter, there's a 33-yard field goal by Lawrence Tynes, made it 17-15. So then the Giants got the ball back, whatever it was. I don't remember exactly, 3 minutes or so left to go in the game, 3-4 minutes left to go, whatever it was in the game. They were down 17-15, needed a field goal, right? And that's when Eli Manning, it might have been the first play of the drive, hit Mario Manningham down the left sideline. Manningham caught the ball kind of like over his shoulder over here. Just got the ball, got his 2 toes in. Just as he caught the ball and got his 2 toes in, the guy came over and smacked him, knocked him out of bounds, but he held on to the ball, got his toes in, and the ref goes to the sideline, gives you one of these reception. Of course, they reviewed it, but he just got his 2 toes in, caught the ball, held on to the ball after he got knocked out of bounds and all that. First down, Giants, and they continued to drive. They went 9. Actually, I guess they started at their own 12-yard line. So 9 plays and 88 yards. The thing is that they got down and they got inside. I guess we're not they got down to the 6-yard line. Okay, because Ahmad Bradshaw had a 6-yard touchdown run. Basically, they were letting the Giants score now because the Giants were trying to just run the clock out and kick a field goal and win basically 18-17. But Ahmad Bradshaw, he got the ball, it opened up, he started running, and I think by the time he realized that they just let him score, he got to about the half-yard line, and he tried to sit down, but his momentum took him into the end zone, so he scored a touchdown. So the problem was, with 57 seconds left, the Giants were up by 4. You give him the ball back to Tom Brady, and it actually got down to Tom Brady. It was on 4th down, and I forgot what it was. It was pretty far. He completed a pass. Does it say there? 4th quarter. I'm going to say it. All right. The game's final drive began on New England's 20-yard line. I guess it was maybe a touchback. I guess maybe. Brady's first 2 passes fell incomplete, and then he was sacked by Justin Tuck on 3rd down, leaving the Patriots 16 yards from a first down and forcing them to use their final timeout. Facing heavy pressure in the pocket, Brady eluded linebacker Michael Boley and then threw a bullet to Deion Branch at the sideline. Branch caught the ball and ran out of bounds at the 33-yard line for a first down. 4th and 16, and they gave up a first down completion. Unfrickin' believable. But the nice thing here was that they had to score a touchdown. So an 11-yard completion from Brady to Hernandez advanced the ball to the Patriots' 44, followed by a 12-man on the field penalty against the Giants, which moved the ball to the Patriots' 49 with 9 seconds left. After an incomplete pass, Brady on the game's final play threw a Hail Mary pass intended for Hernandez in the end zone, but the ball was deflected by the Giants defenders. Tight end Rob Gronkowski dove for the outstretched arms because the ball fell back and he came from the side, and you can see he almost got to the ball, but it just fell incomplete just before he got there. Whew. And the ball was, toward his outstretched arms toward the ball, but it was still a yard away when it hit the ground, ending Super Bowl and giving the Giants their 4th Super Bowl win. Yes. Whew. But also, I think it was one of those things where I think that like Gronkowski was off to the side and stuff like that. So I think possibly maybe Hernandez might have been trying to maybe tip the ball backwards to one of the receivers or so. But you could see when the ball got tipped up in the air, Gronkowski was like a couple yards off to the side, and he was trying to get to it. And it looked like he dove for it or whatever, but it just hit the ground just before he was able to get to it. Thank goodness. And it fell incomplete. Giants won their 4th Super Bowl. Whew, what an exciting game once again. I mean, the 2 Super Bowls between the Giants and the Patriots, very, very, very exciting. And we're so fortunate that, we were the better teams and we got out of there with the victories, and we owe a lot of it to Eli Manning. Let me tell you what, 2007, 2011, let me tell you what, he put the team on his back, and he was huge. He was freaking huge. Whether you think he's a Hall of Famer or this, that, or he threw a lot of interceptions and, this, that, and the other thing and all that stuff. And, he was huge in the Super Bowl. We owe that man a lot of credit. Wow. So that wraps up the 2011 season for the Giants. Unfortunately, since we're going from 2011, after that, to 2022, right, that'll wrap up my little series here. But we're getting into some slim times ahead because the 2011 season was the high point, and we just started going down. So from obviously from the 2012 season to the 2022 season. Okay. So basically the final 11 seasons, the Giants has had 2 playoff appearances. So we had some slim times coming ahead, but we can always enjoy and look back and feel great about the 2011 New York Giants, who won their 4th Super Bowl and their 8th NFL championship. So that wraps up the 2011 season. I'll be back again tomorrow night with the 2012 season for the New York Giants, which just happened to be the 88th season in the history of the New York Giants. I'll see you then.